The long silence. Archon Veltucker stood before the grand hollow archive, tendrils clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the flickering record of an extinct species. Humans. He whispered the word like a curse wrapped in curiosity. It had been nearly 6 centuries since the last verified transmission from Sol. No trade, no ships, no signals, nothing but a curtain of quantum interference that enveloped their star system. Impenetrable, unreadable, absolute. The galaxy called it the Sol Curtain. The Dominion called it an insult. Veltucker, senior historian of the Galactic Dominion, had spent decades assembling fragmented human records. He had seen the old footage, scrappy Earth diplomats defying warlords 10 times their size, engineers building megastructures from asteroid rubble, soldiers fighting like berserkers even when torn open. And then silence. The virus that devoured itself, the Dominion declared. They ascended and left us behind, claimed the Azari mystics. They feared us, said the warrior castes. But Veltucker wasn't convinced. Species died in screams. They didn't vanish in silence. Now, for the first time in 600 years, the Dominion was ready to breach the Sol Curtain. The exploratory detachment, 12 warships under the command of Lord Admiral Hastag, had been assembled. Officially, it was a peaceful expedition. Unofficially, it was to confirm humanity's extinction and claim their abandoned homeworld. Veltucker had argued for caution, for patience. He had been ignored. He was merely a scholar. Words held no weight among warlords. Still, he watched from afar, seated in his crystalline observatory on Elian Prime, as the fleet surged toward Sol, engines burning with arrogance. The Dominion broadcasted a standard greeting. This is the Galactic Dominion. We approach in peace to study the relics of your civilization. There was no reply. Just as we thought, scoffed Hastag over the public stream. Bones and dust. Nothing else. The curtain parted as the fleet breached its edge. Dominion scanners lit up with static. No signals. No defense platforms. Stillness. Then Earth came into view. Veltucker's fronds twitched involuntarily. It was not the world the archives remembered. A Dyson lattice coiled around the sun. Orbital cities gleamed over terraformed Mars. A black station hung at Lagrange Point 1. Massive, silent, humming with impossible power. And still, no response. Until a voice. It sliced into every channel, not loud, but present. Human. Cold. Timeless. This incursion is noted. Leave immediately or bear consequence. Hastag laughed. Arrogant echoes of a dead world. He raised the fleet's shields and gave the order, advance. Veltucker's blood ran cold. For 6 centuries, humanity had spoken nothing. Now they had spoken, and though it was only words, for the first time in 1,000 years, Veltucker felt something ancient claw at his mind. Dread. First contact. Again. Lord Admiral Hastag stood at the prow of the Dominator's fist, arms folded behind his scaled back, flanked by banners of conquest. 12 warships hung behind him in high orbit above Earth, their weapons primed but silent. He sneered at the blue planet. So much fuss over myth. The human voice that had broken their calms moments ago still echoed in his mind. Calm, cold, confident. It wasn't a distress call. It was a warning. Hastag didn't believe in warnings. Bring us closer, he ordered. The helmsman obeyed. The fist moved forward, sensors painting the world below in detail. And what a world it was. The old Earth had been barely above pre-industrial on the galactic scale when last seen. But now, orbital rings shimmered with defense platforms, moving with unnatural precision. Mars was green, its atmosphere stabilized and cities carved into its canyons. Titan glowed with industry. Energy signatures flared across the solar system. Unreadable, layered, alien in design. This wasn't decay. This was preparedness. Still, there was no response. Broadcast again, Hastag snapped. This is Lord Admiral Hastag of the Galactic Dominion. We come to offer stewardship over your forgotten worlds. Submit peacefully and be integrated. The reply came instantly. No. Just that, one word. Spoken without fear. No anger. No debate. No hesitation. HFY snarled. Deploy scout drones. I want planetary scans, surface installations, power grid, everything. If they want to play God after hiding for centuries, let's see how divine they really are. The drones launched, cutting across orbit like silver insects. For exactly 3 seconds. Then they were gone, blinked out of existence. No debris, no explosion, just erased. HFY stared at the void where his drones had been. Sensor malfunction? Negative, Admiral, replied the tech officer. His voice trembled. The drones were hit by something. We can't trace it. No energy signature. No projectile. And then, the sky changed. Dozens, no, hundreds, of vessels uncloaked in perfect silence. Human ships, matte black, their surfaces flowing like liquid. They moved without thrusters, without heat. They made no sound, but they were there, surrounding the Dominion fleet in perfect formation. The largest of them, long as a city, shaped like a blade of judgment, broadcasted on all channels. You were warned. On the Dominion bridge, panic cracked the air like thunder. Weapons online. HFY roared. Fire at will. But the humans moved first. One Dominion cruiser, judged by honor, was struck. A beam of light lanced from the nearest human vessel. Not kinetic, not thermal, conceptual. The judged by honor vanished from existence. No explosion, no wreckage, just a gap where a ship had once been. Silence. Then the voice returned. For 6 centuries, we watched. We remembered. We prepared. You mistook silence for death. You will not make that mistake again. HFY finally felt it. What he never believed he could. Fear. We spoke with fire. Captain Arya, Sue stood on the command deck of the HSS Wrathborn, her eyes fixed on the Dominion fleet ahead. 12 ships, bristling with weaponry and ego, sat frozen in Earth's high orbit, caught between disbelief and doom. She didn't blink. Target sequence confirmed, said her AI, Callie. Engagement protocols are live. Orders, Captain. Sue gave the same command humanity had waited 6 centuries to deliver. Fire. The response was instantaneous. The Wrathborn's main cannon, an experimental singularity driver, flared once. Space twisted. The righteous flame, a Dominion destroyer, imploded inward as if crushed by the weight of a dying star. No shockwave, just silence and an absence. Across the fleet, human warships moved as one, sleek, angular, and impossibly fast. They didn't burn fuel. They didn't leave trails. They slid through space like thoughts through minds. Untraceable, unstoppable. The Dominion responded. Lances of plasma and kinetic shells screamed toward the human ships. They missed, not because of evasive maneuvers, because the ships weren't there anymore. They're bending local space-time, muttered HFY on the Dominion flagship. They're not dodging. They're cheating physics. Human drones swarmed the Dominion flanks, silicon ghosts no bigger than a hand, but each capable of dismantling a warship from the inside. The unyielding claw erupted into flames from within, its reactor overridden by human code before its crew could scream. Back aboard the Wrathborn, Sue watched the feed in silence. Her expression was unreadable. Callie, she said, no unnecessary cruelty. This is not a war. This is a lesson. Yes, Captain. One Dominion vessel tried to flee. It turned its prow toward the stars, engines flaring to maximum burn. Sue nodded. A rail spike launched from the HSS Vindicator. Moving faster than light, it tore through the fleeing ship, leaving a perfect cauterized hole through the bridge. The vessel drifted, its lights going dark. Not destroyed, disabled. Remembered. Sue stepped forward, speaking directly into the open channel the Dominion had so arrogantly claimed hours before. We were silent because we chose to be, not because we were weak, not because we were broken. While you spread your empire, we buried our dead and built something better. You can't claim what you thought was forgotten. But we remembered, and now you will too. Across the stars, Vel Tucker watched the feed in stunned reverence. Historians didn't get prophecy. but he felt as if this moment had been foretold. 12 Dominion ships entered Sol. Only one would leave, and even that, only because the humans allowed it. Echoes of fire. The cradle of Triumph limped through the void, its hull scorched, engines sputtering. It was the last surviving vessel of the Dominion fleet sent to Earth, and it survived only because the humans let it. Inside, Archon Veltaker sat slumped in the observation chamber, eyes hollow, face lit by the cold flicker of damage reports. Weiss Chare was dead, vaporized when the Dominator's fist disappeared under a human beam that left no trace of mass or time. Veltaker's claws trembled as he began dictating his final log. We came to study a corpse. We found gods wrapped in silence. He paused. Out the viewport, stars twisted unnaturally, distorted by the aftershocks of weapons the Dominion didn't even have names for. What humanity wielded wasn't war. It was judgment. A chime echoed through the ship. A transmission. From Earth. Veltaker opened it. It was a video, unencrypted, broadcast to every major Dominion frequency. No code. No threat. Just a face. Captain Arya Sue stood at the helm of her ship, back straight, hands clasped. Her voice was calm, deliberate. To the Galactic Dominion and all others listening, humanity withdrew not out of fear, but out of choice. You hunted our colonies. You enslaved our civilians. You mocked our silence. In that silence, we rebuilt. We evolved. We waited. And now we speak. With precision. With resolve. If you seek peace, send diplomats. If you seek conquest, send coffins. No background music. No bravado. Just words. And the galaxy listened. Hours later, reports flooded in. Trade guilds in the outer reach went dark. Armies recalled from expansion fronts. Alliances fractured overnight. No one wanted to be the next to provoke Earth. No one wanted to be remembered by the humans. Back on the cradle, Veltaker ended his log. In their silence, they became something else. Not a species. Not a nation. A force. We once called them primitive. Today, we call them what they are. Fire. And fire remembers. He closed the file and turned toward the stars, wondering if the Dominion would survive what came next. Not invasion, not extermination, but reckoning. The humans were not chasing vengeance. They weren't burning with rage. They had become something worse. Cold, focused, unstoppable. From the edge of Sol, Earth's fleet began to move. Not to finish the fight, but to explore again. Ships leapt into FDL, scattering across the void like embers on the wind. Sue's voice echoed once more over an open channel, her final words etched into the Dominion's history. We were silent for centuries. Now, the stars will remember the sound of us speaking, and they will tremble.